After centuries, two brothers found the Oak Island treasure. Marty and Rick Lagina, as they like to say, won the jackpot after a lot of study, effort, and money. Oak Island was rumored to contain hidden riches underneath it, which drew the interest of scholars, historians, and treasure seekers throughout the years. Most of them failed in their attempts to discover the island's mysteries, but others lost their money, lives, and sanity. Rick and Marty Lagina, two brothers, feel they've solved the mystery of Oak Island. Everyone wants to know whether there's hidden wealth and if the island is giving it up. Making history. The two brothers worked hard and dedicated most of their lives to unraveling the secrets of Oak Island, but it was all for nothing. Then their last try paid off. Overall, the attempts were documented in a documentary titled The Curse of Oak Island by A&E, a television network. Spending money. Because these brothers were enamored with the island, they spent a lot of money to support their excavations and find wealth. Fortunately, the television broadcast drew in additional investors, allowing them to finance their treasure hunt. Artifacts from the past. The program went 2 seasons without a breakthrough from the Lagina brothers. Then everything changed during the 3rd season. They discovered relics such as a ceremonial Roman sword while draining a hole. This indicated that the Romans were in North America prior to Christopher Columbus. Treasure hunt. They had found several relics by the conclusion of Season 3, leading them to believe that they were on the right track. As Season 4 began, they sought to identify one of the intriguing things they discovered, a handcrafted replica of a French map. Getting help. Zena Halpern, an ancient maritime specialist and historian, assisted them. They decided to date the map to about 1647. It said valve, anchor, and hatch on it, implying that the buried riches were from Africa. Ancient manuscripts. The treasure seekers also discovered what looked to be a book section. It seemed to be a book binder holding paper together. As a result, the brothers speculated that there may be manuscripts ready to reveal their secrets to the larger picture. An old letter. They discovered a piece of parchment made of animal skin beside the book binding. Some suspected it had something to do with William Chappell and Frederick Blair, who were engaged in an island probe. It was from the 15th century, when only the rich could receive or send letters. The well-known money pit. In the 21st century, a few gold pieces were discovered on Oak Island. The Truro business had difficulties when excavating as the sea filled the pit. They had to quit eventually because they ran out of money. The place was called the Money Pit because it took a whole life while attempting to drain it. The Roosevelt connection. In the 20th century, many individuals investigated the island, and each enterprise aspired to be successful but did not. President Roosevelt was a member of the exploration expedition and was intrigued by the island. According to reports, his team was unsuccessful and was unable to finance more excavations. Irwin Hamilton. Despite the setbacks, interest in the pit never waned. People like Irwin Hamilton, who cleared a hole and discovered wood and pebbles that were not native to the region, kept the mystery alive. This confirmed that there was something underneath. The group. Rick and Marty were not alone. The crew had skills, experience, and information, and they were certain that the island would reveal the secret. The crew included Craig Tester, Marty's college roommate, Dan Blankenship, and his son David. The father and son. Dan Blankenship was a well-known Nova Scotia hunter who was sometimes referred to as a living legend. He quit his contractor job and moved to Oak Island. Overall, he's devoted his life to solving the enigma. His son followed in his footsteps, and today they both contribute to the realization of their goal. The outlandish thought. It had previously been difficult to get water from the money hole. As a result, Craig considered freezing it, and the Lagina team approved. It was easy to excavate this way. The Lagina brothers. The brothers had been aspiring treasure hunters since they were children. As a result, it was only a matter of time until a treasure hunting mystery drew them in and had them chasing it as hard as they could. 10 years old. Ricky Lagina was only 10 years old when he moved to Kingsford. He eventually came upon a granite rock and attempted to see whether there were riches underneath it. Even if he discovered nothing, it was a historic occurrence. The collaboration. These brothers wanted to acquire a share in the island in order to pursue their goal. They did so in 2006, purchasing almost half of the Oak Island trips. Dan Blankenship controlled the other half of the company and was a member of the team. Both realized they needed to work with everyone. Longer than expected. Marty was cautious and didn't want to jump to conclusions when they first discovered anything. However, evidence reveals that certain major events occurred far earlier than they believed. He couldn't help but be cheerful. How it began. The earliest sign of riches on Oak Island was discovered in the 18th century. Daniel McGinnis, a little child, discovered unusual scars on one of the oak trees. He assumed it was a rope and pulley system. Then he saw a 5-meter pit and assumed that something was buried there. He informed his buddies and they began a decades-long investigation. The device. The Onslow Company endeavored to complete what those three friends began a few years later. While their attempts were futile, they did discover a table with writing on it. After a century, it was finally translated. What was said? According to one self-proclaimed expert, sections of what was written said that 40 feet below, 2 million pounds lie buried. Some have interpreted this to mean that there was treasure buried on the island. Was it, however, true? Strange theories. Oak Island was also a testing ground for outlandish beliefs. Some speculated that the wealth belonged to Marie Antoinette. Others believed Francis Bacon and William Shakespeare had left manuscripts. Regardless, most hypotheses captivated people's imaginations, even if none were substantiated. The shaft of wood. The Lagina brothers discovered the wood-lined shaft, which they believe was created in 1805 by the same people who discovered the money pit. In fact, since beginning their trip on Oak Island, they've uncovered over 600 antique relics. Bones from humans. A human bone was discovered within the hole, which was a remarkable discovery. They assumed it was from someone of Middle Eastern origin. Another bone was shown to have European heritage. Marty deduced from his investigation that they belonged to the Knights Templar. Gary Drayton, Master Locator. Gary Drayton was a delightful addition to the Lagina crew. Those who are acquainted with his work have called him the metal detecting ninja. On the program, he's often seen as someone who can locate things that others can't. A surprising discovery. He's had to put his abilities to the test and utilize them for the team. Gary and the Laginas discovered something truly astonishing before the Season 5 finale of The Curse of Oak Island. Changing the course of history. Gary and his siblings discovered something huge enough to change the course of history. The little cross, which had a hole at the top, was dated between 1200 and 1600. A stone with Greek lettering also reminded Rick of a Templar prison. A Templar relationship. The item seemed to be consistent with claims linking Oak Island to the Knights Templar. The program stated that establishing evidence that the members were in North America 7 centuries ago might affect the course of history. The Templars and the Phoenician goddess. Historian Zena Halpern provided another theory concerning the cross's origin. She speculated that it may portray Tanit, the Phoenician goddess. This might imply that the Templars worshipped the goddess of health and fertility, which could flip history on its head. Smuggling hypothesis. More hypotheses followed, all of which looked ridiculous. Another hypothesis for the cross's genesis was also presented. It could have been used to smuggle gold, but how's that even possible? Smith Cove. According to Jack Begley, the cross was coated with lead. When it was scraped away, though, gold was discovered underneath it. He claims that the group is still at Smith's Cove, or that it was transported there in the past. Rhodolite garnet is a gemstone. A stone that is 400 to 500 years old was discovered by the brothers. The rhodolite garnet has a raspberry hint, which some believe validates the link to Marie Antoinette. Rick Lagina felt they deserved a slap on the back for discovering riches. Origin theories. The rhodolite garnet, on the other hand, might have originated from a variety of sources. The Marie Antoinette link is simply one of many ideas about the stone's origin. Some believe the design is related to the Masonic Royal Arch and High Priest. In conclusion, The Laginas are unconcerned about the program being renewed for a sixth season. They're more concerned with unraveling the island's secrets and discovering buried wealth. Maddie Blake delivers an after show about their team and promises that they'll continue to make more discoveries. Unusual stone. The Laginas continue to make discoveries. They discovered another odd stone with intriguing engravings. This suggested that it was not a typical stone. Craig, the drilling specialist on the crew, believed they looked like Roman numerals. Additional investigation. At this time, the whole crew agrees that anything discovered near the money pit should be properly studied. That was a wise choice since they subsequently discovered something shocking about this stone. A Viking relative. They took the stone to their lab and performed the necessary tests on it. Overall, they examined the item and speculated that the evidence shows a Viking presence on the island at one point. Then another piece of evidence emerged. Objects with tubular shapes. The team's findings did not stop at paper and stones. During their work, they discovered tubular things that seemed out of place in the setting. When they spoke with archaeologist Laird Niven, they verified that they were man-made. He described them as tube plates. A serial vault. The researchers also discovered a structure under the ground that was tilted to imply it was man-made. They were confused and pondered whether it might be the chapel vault, which they believe is filled with wealth. However, nothing is known about it at this time. Riches aplenty. The brothers have had a terrific time exploring the island, but they've also earned a lot of money from the TV program recording the treasure search. In truth, the Laginas control a portion of the island, and the public is eager to learn what they discover. Millions of dollars. It comes as no surprise that the Lagina brothers are wealthy and worth millions of dollars. In actuality, Rick has about $2 million and Marty has over $50 million, so they're both well off.